actually really need to trim my eyebrows. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It has been so long. Today is going to be a full life update, a year's worth of stuff covered in hopefully a short amount of time. And I'm also going to be doing my makeup while I talk. So yeah, we're just going to be catching up and doing some makeup. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to be using is the Caudalie Beauty Elixir Spray. This is basically like a toning spray. I use this and then I put on some of the serum, the Skin Perfecting Serum, right after that. So I'm just going to go ahead and shake this up. It's like so refreshing. And then I got my little fan because that's just how I live. And the next thing I'm going to use is the, like I said, Skin Perfecting Serum. I just do like one pump of that, really small amount, and just kind of put that everywhere. Oh my gosh, so what's been up? I mean, it's been a while, you know? It's been a while. I'm gonna go in with the Embryolisse Late Cream Concentrate. There's a lot of words on this. This is like a moisturizer and a primer all in one. I use about like that much, and we're just gonna go ahead and moisturize. So I'm gonna go ahead and start doing my eye makeup first while my skin does its thing with all of that stuff I put on. And I'm gonna be using for this video the Morphe Jaclyn Hill palette. This is like the first palette, and I'm just gonna do like a really basic smoky eye today because I'm not gonna be able to do anything crazy and talk at the same time. I just can't. Okay, I'm going to prep my eyes with the NARS concealer. This is the it's called the NARS Soft Matte Complete Concealer, and I'm using the shade Custard. So this is medium 1, and I'm just going to take some of this on my ring finger, and I'm just going to prime the lids. Normally I like to use an eyeshadow primer, like an actual eyeshadow primer, but I've been using this technique lately, and I kind of like how this works. And because I'm not doing like a purple or a pink or a blue or any crazy color, I feel like using a concealer for your neutrals, a basic smoky eye, whatever, using a concealer is totally fine. Okay, so these are nice and primed. I'm gonna go in with the shade MFEO, and that stands for Made for Each Other, if you didn't know what that meant. I googled it because I was like, what does this mean? And it's this shade right here, so it's like a neutral. I'm gonna do like probably one of those down there. Okay. So I'm gonna take this, and you guys know the drill here. Okay, we're just gonna do a nice natural smoky eye. Okay, so the last time I made a video, I was living in San Francisco, in the first place I moved after living at my parents' house. I lived in Outer Sunset. If any of you are familiar with San Francisco, that's like very close to Ocean Beach. It's very close to the water. Super pretty place. And I didn't, how do I word this? I didn't love it. I didn't love living in San Francisco. And I think there was a lot of reasons that I didn't love living there. And one was mainly because when I moved there over 2 years ago now, I didn't know anybody. So I moved completely just like, hope I make friends, you know? And yeah, obviously I made friends and got more comfortable in San Francisco, in the city, and I was working there. And obviously if you guys have watched my previous videos, a couple of them, I don't know how far back they are, but you'll know that I moved to San Francisco for my job. So I still work out there. I still am working there. Given the coronavirus, I'm currently not in the city, so I'm happy about that, but I do still work for the same company. I'm still doing the same thing, but right now I'm doing my job from home, and I'll get to that. So yeah, my experience in San Francisco was interesting. It was fun, but it wasn't, like I said, at that time, it wasn't like, man, this is the best. Like, this is like, I want to be here forever and yada yada. So I just wasn't like super crazy about it. Again, I came from living in Modesto and I moved to San Francisco, which two totally different worlds. It was really, really, really different for me. I was used to just like, you know, peace and quiet and like cleanliness, and that is just not what you get in the city. Super, super different. And so, like I said, I lived there for a year, and after a year, after my lease was up in April of 2019, so April of last year, I decided to move out of the city. And so at that time, I moved to the East Bay. So I was living in Pleasanton. I'm sure most of you watching will know what Pleasanton is, but it's a cute little quaint town in the East Bay. And I lived there for about 9 months. And during that time I lived there, okay, see, this is what's happening. I'm talking and I'm not doing my makeup. I knew that was gonna happen. I'm gonna go in with Buns. It's like a darker color. Okay. During that time, when I lived there, I was commuting from Pleasanton to San Francisco because, again, I still work there. I've worked there this whole time. So I had to go into the city for work, and that people were like, Anissa, why are you moving to the East Bay? And the reason I moved, I didn't mention that. The reason I moved was because I wanted to live by myself. I have mentioned this many times, but I'm an only child. And so the experience for me living in San Francisco with multiple roommates was very different. It wasn't like good or bad or whatever, but it was just like not really what I preferred. Like because I had just been so used to living by myself my whole life, not by myself, but like at my parents' house, and I'm an only child. So like, you know what I mean? So I decided to get my own place in Pleasanton, and I had my own apartment. It was such a beautiful apartment, but a few downfalls with that was, one, like I said, I was still commuting into the city, so it was taking me like close to 3 to 4 hours a day. Yeah, that's rough, to get to work, and that got very old very quickly. And also it was very, very, very expensive. And again, if you're familiar with like this kind of area, the East Bay, the Bay Area, you know, it's like it costs a fortune to live anywhere near those, you know, perimeters, whatever. I'm gonna go in with Chip. So yes, the commute, and it was costing a lot of money, got very old very quickly. So I decided at the end of last year, at the end of 2019, that I did not want to live in Pleasanton anymore. And I wasn't sure, that's the thing, is I wasn't sure where I wanted to go. I didn't know whether I wanted to go back to San Francisco because I still, like, that's where my job is at, or I wanted to go like back home, or I wanted to go somewhere completely different. I had no idea. And so I thought, okay, the smartest thing for me to do at this point right now, because I don't know where I want to go, is to just go back home until I can figure that out. So last December, I actually moved back to Modesto, and I've been here since December. And it wasn't initially something I wanted to like talk about, because I kind of had felt like, you know, I did all of this adulting, I like grew up, whatever, moved out of my parents' house, was on my own, doing my own thing, and then like came back. And I initially saw it as kind of like, I'm taking 20 steps back. Like, this is not what I wanted to do. And it was also really different for me because, like I was saying, I'm an only child, and so it was like, it was a very hard transition, and it's still difficult and challenging to be back home right now, but it was like what I felt like that was the best option versus like going back to the city and not really being sure if that's where I wanted to be. Because the thing with San Francisco, like we were already talking about, is it's very expensive. And so I was like, if I don't know for sure, like 100% whether I want to come back here or be here, I was like, I'm not going to be like locking myself into a year lease. I'm not going to be paying that kind of money. I don't really want to have to find roommates. I just didn't want to do any of that. And coming back home actually was, like I mentioned, definitely very challenging. But at that period of time in my life, I was also going through a very, very bad end of a relationship. And I knew, just again, I had a gut feeling like, you know, coming back home, being with people that I know and that I love, being with my family, I just felt like that was the best thing for me to do at that point. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you kind of know a couple, 6 or so months back, I was battling depression and anxiety, and it was very, very difficult, and it was very just strange. It was new territory for me. I had never had to deal with those things before, and so that was another reason I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna come home. Like, it's really not what I want to do, but I just feel like that's the safest, best thing for me to do right now. I'm gonna go in with the color Faint. It's like a very pretty like rose champagne color, and I'm just gonna put that on like the inner corner of my lids. I didn't think I was gonna do shimmer, but I'm feeling shimmer. So yeah, I've been back in Modesto now since last December, so almost 4 months or so. And here's the crazy thing, okay? So I'm sure you're probably wondering like, oh, well, if you still work in San Francisco, what are you doing? That's right, I'm commuting. So it's crazy because this whole like coronavirus thing has really worked out in my favor because since moving back home to Modesto in December, I was commuting every day to San Francisco. And let me tell you, if you don't know anything about the commute from Modesto to San Francisco, it's not a fun one. So if you guys have been, like I said, following me for a couple years, you'll know like when I first started working in San Francisco, I was commuting every day from Modesto because I hadn't even moved there yet. And I was driving my car. So I was driving from Modesto to San Francisco almost every day. At that time, I wasn't a full-time employee yet, but I was going almost every day, driving my car, and it was, I legitimately do not remember those months of my life because it was just, I was so tired, I was so exhausted, I was just so like dead. And so now, like when I moved back, I was like, oh no, like what, like how, I don't want to have to do that again because I had already done that. I had already known like and gone through that like, you know, pain. And I was like, I definitely don't want to do that. So I ended up finding a way to take public transportation the entire way there. So in Modesto, there's actually a bus that goes from Modesto to the East Bay. It takes you to like the Dublin Pleasanton area where the BART station is at, and then I was taking BART from Dublin Pleasanton into the city, into San Francisco. And here's the crazy part. It was taking me an average of 6 hours a day to commute to work, like a day. Every day. So I did that crazy commute for all of January, all of February, and the beginning of March, and up until this whole coronavirus thing happened. And so when that happened, I was immediately sent to work from home just before they had done the shelter in place order. So we were very fortunate and able to be able to kind of be a little bit ahead of the game and get everything situated for us to work from home. And like obviously I have this whole setup. I've had this setup in my house like for years, and so I was like, perfect, I can just like do my job from home, like that's rad. And so that's what I've been doing. So basically this whole shelter in place, not being able to leave our house is like not that bad for me because like I don't have to commute 6 hours a day anymore. I mean, it's still terrible what's going on and like it's frustrating, but it's like nice because now I have like so much time in my day and I have like, you know, I'm like normal again. Okay, I'm gonna take the shade Soda Pop, which is like this dark, like brownish purplish color, and I'm gonna take that on like a really tiny little brush. I'm gonna go up against my upper lash line here to kind of like mimic an eyeliner because I'm not gonna put eyeliner on, but I'm gonna take the Fenty Beauty mascara. It's the full frontal mascara. I'm gonna coat my lashes with this before I put on falsies. So yeah, between like moving out of San Francisco, moving to the East Bay, living on my own, like experiencing that, I have like grown. Like 2019 was a huge year of growth for me, and I think like everyone kind of experiences that like growth year in your 20s, and 24 was definitely it for me. I've really realized like what it is that I want to do. That is going to esthetician school. It's always been something I wanted to do, and like crazy enough, I have actually tried to enroll in school like 3 times, like legitimately tried to go to school and just like could not do it because of my schedule, because of weddings, because of like all of that. It was very hard for me to like just get everything in order so that I could go. After like having worked full-time for a company, basically just being an adult and like having grown up or whatever, I've realized that my goal and what I really want to do still is to go to beauty school and get my esthetician license. So that's another huge reason why I chose to come back home, is because I wanted to save money for that, and I could not do that living in the East Bay or the Bay Area because it's so expensive. I know what it is that I want to do. I know what I'm good at. I've been doing makeup now for over 5 years and doing weddings and all that stuff, and it's been a job I've never gotten tired of, and I've had a lot of jobs since I was 15 and a half, and I've done a lot of different things. And I have gotten sick of almost every single job I have ever had except being a makeup artist. And so, you know, I just know by the amount of time I spend, you know, watching videos and learning and like, you know, doing classes and stuff like that, the amount of time I put into getting more of an education and like educating myself within the beauty industry and having a passion for doing weddings and making people feel good and, you know, just like boosting someone's self-esteem. I wanted to be able to do that even more so. Basically I want to be an esthetician so that I can continue to do makeup, but that I can also offer more services. So yeah, that is what I want to do. And I, you know, in the past year, I have figured that out like wholeheartedly, like that is what I really want to do. And so yeah, that's the path I'm on. Okay, so I have my lashes on, eyes are done. I'm not really gonna do anything else. Whenever I tell somebody that I, you know, am doing that commute or like was doing that commute, I'm using the Urban Decay Brow Blade for my eyebrows. This is in the shade Ink Stain. Ink, is it? Did I make that up? I did. It's in the shade Neutral Nana. Whenever I would tell people that I was doing that commute and that it was 6 hours of my day every day, everyone was like, oh my gosh, like you're so crazy, like why would you do that, yada yada. And so the main reason that I wasn't like very public about it was because I just didn't want sympathy. I didn't want people to be like, oh my gosh, like you're crazy and like, yeah, whatever. I was just like, you know what, I knew it was something that I had to do. I knew it was something that like it made sense for me. It made sense in like what I was doing it for. And you know, I'm doing it so that I can save up money and go to esthetician school. And again, like figure out where I want to go after that. I really have no idea. I have a feeling that like I could potentially go back to San Francisco because that is where all of my like close girlfriends are. And I've built a lot of like really meaningful relationships with people who are still in San Francisco. And like I was saying, the reason I think I had a hard time when I first moved there was because I didn't know anybody. I started forming relationships like after I had left, and that made it like a little hard. So I think if I was to go back now, it would be very different because like I said, I have people that I know, you know, I'm not just like going in blind. Yeah, so my ideal plan right now is I'm actually planning on, and I say planning because you just never know what's gonna happen. You know, I'm a huge planner and I feel like every time I'm like, okay, this is what I'm gonna do, everything changes for whatever reason, you know? So I think my plan as of right now is that I do wanna go to esthetician school in Modesto, mainly because it's a lot cheaper than going to school in San Francisco. And I live here right now, so yeah, that's I think what I'm planning on doing. And once I get my license, then it's like, gotta figure out where I'm gonna go. Okay, for the base, oh, didn't mean to drop that. Okay, oh, no, that's not what I want to use. I'm going to be using the Milk Hydro Grip Primer. I like forgot the name for a second, but that's what it's called. I'm going to pour a little bit. Is that enough? Maybe a little more. I've only used this like a couple times, but it's really good. It's like, do you hear that? It's like so sticky. Yeah, that's right. Let's see, let's use, I am tan. You see, we are very tan today, okay. I'm gonna take the Laura Mercier Flawless Fusion Ultra Longwear Foundation. And I'm gonna go ahead and use it with a, what's this called? A foundation brush. This is actually the e.l.f. Ultimate Blending Brush, okay. This brush is $6. It's very good. You do not need like a $50 foundation brush. Oh, what's happening there? I usually like to apply my foundations with this brush, and then if I feel the need, I'll go over with a beauty blender. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and put some foundation on. I usually do like, I try to not do so much. When I'm using the foundation brush, I like to focus on like pushing it into my skin rather than taking it and rubbing it, because I find that it just, you don't get that good of an application when you do that. I do like to take the foundation for my nose onto a beauty blender because it's the brush is like, it's just harder to do because it's kind of like a pretty thick brush. And so when I have a beauty blender, I can get more easily into the corners right here and around my nose. And I don't want my nose to be too patchy. And so if I put the foundation with a brush, sometimes it just gets too, I don't know, I just don't like the look of it. So with the sponge, I can really just like make sure it's getting into my skin. Okay, so I'm gonna go in now with the Tarte Shape Tape, and this is in the shade Light Sand. I have always loved this concealer. This is a great concealer. I don't know that I've found one since this came out like that I like more. I just actually ordered the, it's called like the Becca, it's like the under eye brightener or like brightener concealer or something like that. And I do want to try using that as like, it's like a color, I don't know the exact name, but it's like a color corrector, brightener, whatever that you put under your eyes. And it's not necessarily to be used as like a concealer because you can put concealer over it still. But it's supposed to help with like dark circles. Not that I have really big dark circles or anything. But I am noticing, like, unfortunately, as I get a little bit older, that I am getting a little bit more dark underneath there. And so I wanted to try that product out. So hopefully in my next like makeup tutorial video, I will have that because it's just not here at my house yet. It hasn't been delivered, but hopefully next time I'll have that to try. I always like to set my under eye concealer with the Laura Mercier Translucent Setting Powder. This has been my go-to powder for years, like actual years. I love it so much. Wow, I just poured the whole thing out, sick. I'll take it on my beauty blender, and after I pour some in here, I take it on the damp beauty blender, so it has like, you don't have to like take that much, but I just accidentally picked up too much. And I'm just gonna go ahead and put that right under the eye. And this, I swear to you, this combination of like the Shape Tape and this powder, flawless. And I really have never, ever, ever had issues with creasing. So if you guys are experiencing like under eye creasing and you're like, how the hell do I get rid of that? Try this combination because it's so good. Depending on the foundation combination of primer, whatever that I use, I sometimes like to set the entire face. And when I do that, if I'm gonna go out or if I'm gonna like have to have the makeup on all day, the Cover FX matte setting powder, brilliant. It's such a good product. It is matte. It is very matte. So if you have dry skin, I absolutely would not recommend that product. My skin's combination, I can pretty much get away with it. But I have used it under my eyes, like just like how I did it right now with the Laura Mercier powder, and it is very drying. It is sometimes it's a little bit uncomfortable. So it's really good at that product. The Cover FX powder is really good if you have oily skin and you're just trying to like set it all so that it doesn't go anywhere. Very good product. And I like using a beauty blender rather than a powder because I like it to absorb into my skin. All the makeup that I use, I don't want it to sit on top. I don't want it to like, you know. For my contour and bronzer, I'm going to be using the NARS Laguna bronzer. Looks like this. It's very pretty. I sometimes find though that this powder, this color, it's too muddy for me. So like the color I'm used to, I'll give you an example. I'm used to using MAC Give Me Sun, which is this one. I don't want like it to glare in your eyes. This one right here, and this is the Laguna bronzer, which this looks very similar to this. It like just looking at it color right here, but this is much, much warmer. And so I feel like I have to use like not as much of the NARS powder because it's very muddy. And I think even on this, it just like looks, I don't know. So I try not to be too heavy-handed with this NARS Laguna bronzer. I try to be like very light with it. And then if I just like feel like I want it to be a little more warm, I will take the MAC Give Me Sun on top of this Laguna bronzer. Not always, but you know, if I'm feeling like it. This brush is also my favorite contour powder brush. This is the Morphe R10. It's such a good brush. I believe it's $16. I got it like sometime last year, and it's a really, really good brush. And I like it because it's white, and I feel like some people would hate it because it's white, but I like it because it's very true, like I was saying, to the color of the contour powder that I'm using. So now I am going to take a little bit of Give Me Sun. Just going to place it right on top. And then I'm going to kind of just take whatever's left on the brush and go up into my hairline. Do the same thing on this side. I haven't done a makeup tutorial for YouTube in such a long time. Feels so crazy. Okay, And then the same thing, I'm just gonna take it up here really softly. I actually have been loving doing a cream contour lately. But I feel like that's a more like going out, like nighttime kind of vibe, you know? But yeah, for sure, one thing I have learned over quarantine, during quarantine, I should say, is that I want to use less makeup, because for the years I've been doing makeup like on myself, doing looks and stuff, I do it so heavy, and I just like, I didn't really realize how much product I was using until I like watched a video one time and I was like, wow, I use a lot of product. I should probably chill. So that's kind of my like going into 2020. I'm wanting to do that for myself. So, okay, what I'm gonna use now is the Natasha Denona Bloom highlighting blush. It's very pretty. It's very like, it's very pink. It's very reddish pink. Coral. Coral is a better word. Try not to use like too much, and it's shimmery. So I like shimmery blushes. And this is my favorite brush to use for blush. This was actually part of a brush set from Morphe, so I don't exactly know which one it is, but it looks like this. They do have a couple brushes very similar, but this, I think as long as you get that like angle, like this, you should be good. And I like to kind of like pull it up, kind of where I put the contour, and then I will go back in if I feel like I went a little too high and just blend that out a little bit more. But I think it gives like a really, really pretty like flush to the skin. I'm gonna go ahead and do the bottom. I don't have anything on like my lower lash line here. I'm gonna take that same brush that I was using for the fake eyeliner and I'm gonna go back in with Buns. This brush is, I actually don't know. Oh, I got it off of Amazon actually. It's a Jessup brush and it's the 237 detail shader. I'm pretty sure that this brush set that I bought was like $7 on Amazon, which sounds crazy, but I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, it was either 7 or 11. I can't remember, but anyway, so I'm gonna take any of the just like small little shader brush you have, like this is fine. I'm gonna go ahead and just like add some color to my lower lash line. Okay, and then I am going to go, where is it? Back in with the Fenty mascara. I've said this before, I'm not really a huge mascara person, but I did see a YouTube video on this mascara saying it was very good, and so I just like bought it. It was I Love Serai. I'm pretty sure that's whose video I watched, who she said this was really good. It's good. It's not worth the money in my opinion. I'm not a mascara person. I usually always have false lashes on when I do my makeup. Actually, of late, I have not, because I've been trying to adapt the more like natural look, you know? And I've just been using mascara, but I would definitely, I mean, I love Fenty Beauty. They have great products, but I wouldn't splurge for the mascara because it's not that great. The mascara that, I do love, and I always have loved, and would 10 out of 10 recommend, is the Voluminous Lash Paradise. This is L'Oreal. This is at the drugstore. This is at Ulta, whatever, and it's like $11 compared to like a $20 mascara. It's just, I mean, do you, but it's in my opinion, it's just not worth it. The wand is cool though. That's about all. Okay. How are we looking? I actually feel like I gave most of my life update in the beginning of the video, so I don't really have any more updates, but yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, how I'm doing. What do we think? What am I missing? Oh, highlights. Let me tell you about the highlights that I have been loving. Okay. First and foremost, the Dior, what is this called? Backstage Glow Face Palette. This baby, wow, it's really good. It's very beautiful. The first two shades up here, actually, let's see if I can get you closer. The first two shades here and here, this is like an icy white. This is like a rose kind of like pink goldish color. It's actually called Glitter Strobe Pink Gold. It's a lot of names. And then this is peach and this is a bronze. I typically will like mix these two. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that one today, and I'm gonna use the All Nighter setting spray. Love this setting spray. If I had to recommend a setting spray for you, I would recommend the All Nighter because it's so good. Oh, that's a lot. Okay. And I'm gonna take my fan. So I'm gonna go ahead and use the This one right here, the Glitter Strobe Pink Gold, so you can see what this color looks like. I'm gonna zoom you in, okay? I like to take it very gently. Can you see it? Oh, oh. But yeah, you can see this is like a gorgeous highlight. And you can put a little bit. I like it to put it here because then when you smile, that might be too glittery for some people, but I like it that way, you know, because shine on. Yeah, we're gonna go with that. For lipstick, what do I want to use today? My favorite. If you follow me and have watched videos before, you will know this is my like go-to nude color. This is Tarte Color Splash lipstick in the shade Rum Punch. Love this. I had this just for me because I love it. But this is a color I will use on like brides as well. Sorry, my nose itches. That's kind of gross. Yeah, I absolutely love this nude. It's such a hurted color. And I feel like it just looks so good on everybody, which that's a very hard, challenging thing to do for a nude. You know what I'm saying? Okay, this is the face, you guys. What do you think? Very glowy. Even with my skin kind of like acting out a little bit, I think it looks pretty good. So it gives you really good coverage. You got some glitter, you got some, not glitter, but you got some shimmer, some shine. Okay, I think that's it, you guys. Oh my gosh, I'm back on YouTube. Well, yeah, I hope you guys liked this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed catching up with me and getting all my life updates, I guess. Not that I think anybody cares, but you know, when you follow somebody for a while, you just like, what's up? You just like want to know, you know? Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you really enjoyed it, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!